Yo, what's up guys? It's Benji here. Today I wanted to make a video about Kalista. She's a champion that is currently sitting at the lowest win rate of any AD at around like 45%. And I believe she doesn't even have enough games in lower elo for her win rate to even show up. But I think in like Diamond or Masters Plus she's at like 44%, 45%. So basically, not a lot of people play her. There's a few Kalista players who like make her work. I know that Teddy plays her over in Korea sometimes. He does a Q max build. I know that, like boosters like to play Kalista Thresh sometimes, but generally she doesn't really see a lot of play. She's a very mechanically intensive champion that when she's broken, her damage and her kit's utility sort of makes up for the fact that she's hard to play. But when she's in this like current state that she's in now, where you have to do everything perfectly in order to like win a game on her, she doesn't attract a lot of people to play her, and the people that do usually fall short. But I've been playing her a lot recently, and I've been trying a new rune setup that I really like. Most people like to go Halo Blades on her, and then after that, they prefer to go Lethal Tempo if they want the precision tree, and if not that, then they go PTA. I know a lot of like boosters go Thresh Kalista with PTA for the kill pressure. But I've actually been trying a different page lately where I take Conqueror as my keystone, Triumph, Alacrity, Coup de Grace, this is all normal. And then I doubled down on the aggressive nature of her, and I've been going Domination second with Sudden Impact, Ravenous Hunter, and obviously ASAD armor. That's normal. So the reason I take this rune page, I get asked this all the time whenever I play Kalista on stream. Basically, she worked probably better than any other champion, except maybe like Lucian with the old Fervor. It was a huge part of her damage because she does only 90% of her AD as auto attack damage, unlike other champs obviously have 100%. I personally feel like if there's any ADC in the game that can make Conqueror work, it's definitely Kalista, because the way she plays is so aggressive, and when she starts autoing you, she prefers to continue doing so until you die, right? Obviously that's not always possible, but usually her trades are extremely extended. There are opportunities to take really short trades in lane where you just go for quick rend resets, that's good too, but when you want to punish somebody, you're all inning them, like you're flashing forward, you're gonna be super aggressive. I think it's really easy for her compared to most other champions to keep Conqueror up. Given that it only has a 2-second uptime on ranged champions, that means you don't even have time to like reposition for an auto. But the thing with Kalista is she never needs to reposition for an auto. She's repositioning while autoing. So she's one of the few champions, I feel like, as a ranged ADC that gets to utilize Conqueror. And I feel like people are making a mistake by not capitalizing on it. It also has inherent synergy with the way that she wants to play her all-ins, and that you're gonna auto attack them like at least 5 times, or you're gonna throw a Q in there and then you're gonna rend. And the biggest part about Conqueror on Kalista, in my opinion, is the stacking adaptive force. It's not a whole lot. It equals out to about a long sword early in the game, and eventually like a pickaxe later in the game. But she does have really good AD ratios on her Q and her E, and I feel like it actually adds a significant amount of damage. Also, because she only does 90% damage with her auto attacks early, often it feels like you're hitting your opponents with wet noodles. Like the only thing you're really counting on is the rend. But I find with Conqueror, the extra AD that it's giving you early makes it feel like when you're fighting to the death with enemy champions, you're actually doing damage, which is really nice. Now this paired with Sudden Impact, which has pretty much the maximum uptime on Kalista compared to any other champion, it really feels like your all-in pressure is insane. And I'm talking insane for a 44% win rate champion here. You're still gonna have to play her extremely well to make her work. She's tough for sure, but I feel like with this rune page, you're really getting the most out of her kit. I don't really... Halo Blades is good, but I didn't find it to be so amazing that I would prefer to play her over another champion. And this, not only is it good for lane, it might be slightly worse than Halo Blades in lane. Even I would say actually, like Halo Blades kill pressure in lane is pretty high, especially like pre six before first back. It can be pretty crazy, but I feel like I'm a champion mid late game as well with Conquer, which is a huge reason why Kalista is a big turnoff. It's really easy to win lane on Kalista if you're good at her and you pick her into a matchup you like, but the problem is that often you get outscaled and it doesn't really feel like you can do enough damage or survive long enough to make an impact on team fights later in the game. And being honest, Halo Blades is completely useless past like the 20-minute mark. After you've got like your Zerkers or your Tabby and your Bork and your Runans, it doesn't really feel like the extra attack speed from Halo Blades is necessary anymore. It does take a little bit to get used to not having the bonus AS from either Lethal or Halo Blades early game, but once you get over that hump, I really think it's a lot better. It's a really good setup to run. The other thing to talk about real quick is obviously there's not many other choices in the domination tree, but Ravenous Hunter and Conquer kind of like synergize, not really synergize, but they both have healing that's gonna like proc when you get your rend off. So I find when I'm in like a lot of clutch situations fighting, like usually with Kalista, you're playing on a nice edge, like it's really close. But when you rend somebody with a lot of stacks in them and you have your Ravenous stacks and your Conquerors at 5, I find you do get a lot of healing, like an insane amount of healing. And also, obviously, the Conqueror makes it so a portion of your rend does true damage, which really, really helps versus tanks and stuff like that later in the game. So, let's get right into it. I don't really have a great way of showing this VOD here, but we're just going to pull it up on Twitch. This is probably the most recent good Kalista game I had a couple days ago. And I just wanted to watch the VOD and sort of talk about my thought process and what I'm doing here. So, I like to pick Kalista in situations where they have opponents that I can like really outplay. I feel like she obviously has a lot of trouble versus any targeted CC. It's really frustrating playing her against like Nautilus. Like Kennen Alt is an example. It's just such a huge AoE. There's not really many ways to outplay that. Recon W is like a perfect example of what you can outplay. It's very easy for Kalista to dodge Recon W, especially once you get your boots too. And it's pretty fun playing Kalista with like... She can honestly play with a wide variety of supports. While it's fun to play her with tanks like Nautilus or aggressive supports like Thresh, I find she does work really well with some select range supports as well, and Nami is one of them, Morgana is one of them. The reason for that is that you're able to play super aggressive at 6, and instead of using your ulti as like an engage tool, they can sort of just like soak up all the damage in a fight, and then you can ult them out like at the last second and do that type of thing. Or if you're playing really aggressive, and you're getting ganked or TP'd on, which you often do as a ranged support lane because you have like an inherent advantage. Your poke is usually really strong. Just like gives your support a free get out of jail free card. So it feels pretty good in my opinion. And so early in the lane, basically all you're looking to do is get quick auto trades off where you're resetting your rend, right, like I just did right there. And you want to try and look for that opportunity every single time that you can. Another thing is that, like, one thing people don't really realize about Kalista, there's a lot of like small nuances to playing her. One thing you can do is you don't need to like pre-stack the rend before you go for the auto to get the reset. Hopefully I'll do it here in the VOD somewhere, but you can auto them to get the stack on them, and then if you're max range from the minion, if you E at the right timing while your auto attack is mid-air, it'll actually rend and it'll reset immediately. And that's like a huge thing for trading because the first stack of rend actually does double damage compared to all the stacks after that. So to get the most out of her kit, it's really important to look for opportunities to reset your rend multiple times while you're trading across the lane. And that's something I usually look to do. Another thing is that if you rend while your Q is mid-air and you're last hitting a minion, the Ren will actually carry over to your Q and anything the Q goes through. So that's another opportunity for you to get a lot of damage off when you're poking. You can quickly like slip out of the minion line, and then you could throw a Q and rend and go back in. So that's always a play to look for. Yeah, so the other thing, you're gonna be, as I said, like you're gonna be playing super super aggressively on this champion. When you play Kalista, you really have to like, your fingers have to be nice and warmed up, because any mistake, like where you're just losing like a ton of experience, or you just straight up misplay a 2v2 or anything like that, and you die or you're forced to back, is extremely significant on her, because her early game is the like 100% the foundation of the rest of her game. Like she can look really really strong mid and late game, but it's only really off of the back of a strong early. And I do think it's fine. It's fine to go even. If you have to go even, it's whatever. Like sometimes the enemy will have more TPs than you, or they'll just straight up have more like jungle pressure. The jungle will be focusing you or something like that. Yeah, like it's better to just go even than to die. But you can also look for 2v3 opportunities, and as I said, even though you want to try and punish them if they miss position or whatever with heavy all-ins across the lane, as I said, her poke with the rend resets is insane too. And if you're able to get that off for free, you're slowly going to be able to whittle them down and create a lot of pressure to the point where you'll be able to 2v3 them once they get low enough. And again, like Rakan is a perfect champion to outplay. Nami is another champion I like to pick Kalista against, because you can just dodge her bubble. She's really squishy. She's easy to all in. Anytime there's a support or a jungler in the game where you're able to dodge like crucial skill shots, you're always gonna be able to look for like some sort of outplay potential. But you gotta make sure your mechanics are crisp when you're doing that. And I would recommend, if you're like just watching this video and learning Kalista for the first time, like she hasn't been meta for a long time, so not everybody's super good at her. Just play a stable game, and don't do anything too crazy until you're mechanically prepared to do so. So yeah, I somehow got fed this game. Like it just came down to trading aggressively, and then when my Kha'Zix came, I capitalized on the gank. I'm just looking for outplay opportunities every chance I can. If you watch me play this champion on stream, I'm extremely aggressive. I never really miss an opportunity to chunk people out. Like right there, the Rakan goes in for a Q. I was able to dodge a Q with my passive and then get a huge Q trade on him. And that's what I'm talking about. Like that was half of his HP right there. Obviously, I had the Nami buff and the Nami W as well, but... Oh. Whoops. Yeah, no, her trades are deadly. And so you'll notice too, I rushed Berserker Greaves instead of buying a Cutlass with my 1700 gold that I had on my first back. It's a little bit unusual for me to have this much gold on my first back. It doesn't happen every game, although it does happen decently often. And so I always try to rush Zerkers with this setup, because it feels like you're getting a little bit of extra AD from your Conqueror anyways, so you don't really need to rely on getting the longswords early. It's way better to get the Zerkers so you can keep the uptime on your Conqueror better and chase people down the lane when they misplay. So there, I didn't realize that Vayne had a summoner advantage on me. She had flash, so I ended up taking a 2v2 pretty aggressively. I wasn't able to dodge the Rakan W, which was really significant there. If I did, we would have won 100%. It would have been a lot cleaner. But as you could see in that 2v2, like I got this like huge trade on Rakan, and I did the auto reset thing I was talking about, where I reset it without having a minion pre-prepped. And then I was able to use that to get in range to auto attack him some more and punish him even harder. And I got him really low. Obviously, they counter engaged. We traded. When Vayne flashed into me, like I have so much burst. Most people don't realize how much burst Kalista has. They think that they're gonna be able to like one shot you or whatever. And you can usually like turn with your fucking Q. Your Q damage is absolutely insane. You don't actually put a point in I die here. Probably not worth it, but the wave got in sour. I don't put a point in W, and it might be weird to a lot of you, but they actually changed it. It was a long time ago, but they changed Kalista W so that the only thing that it does is give you the max percent HP damage on autos and the shitty little ghost. The ghost is completely useless. It's literally the worst ability in the game. It baits your team into thinking you have vision. People can literally just move around it. It's absolutely horrific. And the percent HP damage is nice, but Q scales so well with ranks. The amount of extra damage that you get in your Q, I think, adds up to a lot more over the course of the game than the extra damage on auto attacks. So I never put a point in W. I don't think any other Kalista mains really prefer to put a point in W either. I know Teddy never really does. Maybe there's certain situations, but it's just not really worth it. I believe Q goes up like 40 damage per rank, and then you get like 0.5 second CD reduction on it. And a lot of Kalistas even like prefer to max Q in this day and age, like on this patch. I don't like maxing Q because I think it's really hit or miss. I don't like having the low rend damage because when my rend isn't maxed, I feel like I can't get the resets off minions that I want to play aggressively a lot of the time, and I end up putting my rend on CD, so it's kind of awkward. But you do get a lot of one-shot potential with your Q. But by not putting a point in W, you're pretty much maxing Q alongside E regardless, so it doesn't really matter that much. There are even games where if I feel like I'm crushing my lanes super hard and I know they're not going to be able to back, I'll put an extra point in Q before I max E. Like I'll put like 3 points in Q before level 6 because it can really, really catch people off guard. And if you Q and E at the same time, it's obviously an insane amount of burst damage. So that's something to think about as well. Here, as I said, like, I'm not using my Nami to engage. I'm just using my flash CD plus my ulti to allow us to play safely and survive and like soak up pressure. Obviously, this is like my fault for getting hit by that spear in the first place. Probably wouldn't have been diveable if I didn't get hit by the spear. Maybe, not sure. But even then, like, now that their ults are down and stuff, I'm looking for 2v3 outplays, like, to an extent here. My Kha'Zix just showed, like, I know you guys can't see the map, but he just did Herald. I'm still considering, like, okay, now they're guaranteed CC. The Recon Charm is a thing that'll screw me because I can't dash around that. But now that we're in this situation, like, all I need to do is dodge their skill shots, and I'll be able to outplay this 2v3 100% of the time. So, yeah. I don't know what happens here, but I think it's favorable. Oh, Aatrox is another really, really easy champion to play against this Kalista. He's pretty popular in the meta right now, so I find that I'm never gonna like pick Kalista just because they have an Aatrox on their team, but he's like one of the most heavily skill shot reliant champions in the game, and to be able to just like dip around all of his like super impactful damage feels really, really nice. And I think I win like just I happen to win pretty much every game I play Kalista and there's an Aatrox on their team. As I said, I don't look for that situation specifically too much, but I will factor that into my decision making when I'm looking to pick the champion because, again, just the more champions they have that you can outplay on their team, the better. Ari is actually a rough one. Any champion that goes Glacial Augment is pretty rough because a slow that strong is pretty much equivalent to like a stun on Kalista, but usually they have skill shots too, so you can look for the outplays. Here, I think if I had mana for my E, I would have been able to probably get like a triple, like, okay, maybe not a triple, but I would have been able to turn there. I think I wasted my mana on Q. If I save the mana for E, maybe I could kill Recon. I'm not sure. Either way, that's worth. So item build, you guys are probably familiar with the item build on Kalista. It's nothing new, nothing crazy. I just go Bork into Runads. I usually, as I said, I rush Zerkers, but one thing to keep in mind with the boots is like there are some champions that you just simply can't afford not to buy Tabby against in this game. Kha'Zix is one of them. Rengar is one of them. Like pretty much any of the physical assassins that don't really take much skill to one-shot you. Like, okay, sure, it takes skill to get fed on them in the first place, but once they have the kills, you're dying pretty much if you don't have any armor. So I like to go Tabby versus those champs, and what I'll do is I'll just buy Boots 1, and then I'll usually try to buy like a recurve bow to make up for the lack of attack speed, or I'll just straight up rush the Ninja Tabby early if they have a really physical lane, maybe like a Draven or like a Trist or something. Not that I really try to pick Kalista into those champions, but it could happen, It's situational. I would never really buy Merc Treads though because I would prefer to just buy a QSS as my third item or a Merc Scimitar and just cleanse the CC and then try to dodge and outplay the rest. And I usually wouldn't pick Kalista in a situation where they have so much CC that I need Merc Shreds. So also, I would if they had like a heavy AP team, like an AP bottom two, Ma is like a fantastic item for Kalista. So that's a situation you can always look out for. But yeah, no, I would never really buy Merc Shreds. So as you can see there, real quick, I QE'd at the same time, and it transferred the E onto the spear that I was throwing. So I was able to get the slow and the extra damage on Ari. And it's the little things with Kalista. As I said, she's like she's a 44% win rate champion. She's she's viable technically, but yeah, you have to do a lot of things right to make her work. So it's the little things like that and the knowledge of like how those things work on her kit that are gonna make you actually able to win games and carry games as Kalista and have like a huge impact for your team. I don't know if you're noticing the value of Conquer here in these fights too. In all of these fights that have happened where I've been like low HP and I've turned them, or it's been like a 2v3, all these kind of situations, Conquer stacks up extremely quickly. You're buying so much attack speed and you're auto attacking so much, you pretty much never go out of combat. And when you do go out of combat, you can proc Conquer again with a rend reset, and you can also proc Conquer with Q, which also repositions you. So again, I feel like Conquer is such a perfect keystone on this champion. It feels amazing. I don't know why people don't take it. I don't know why people haven't tried it. I know it only lasts 2 seconds, but it feels so nice for being able to make these outplays. Sure, it might not be viable and competitive, but we're playing solo queue here. I don't know what elo you guys are, but like I'm making this work even in Challenger too. So yeah. So yeah, now I'm just Giga Fed. I'm looking at like what I'm gonna buy for my third item. Again, I love to buy QSS. Anytime there's any reliable CC from the enemy team in the game, I try to buy QSS. I think here I sell my pot and I get it. It is like once you get Bork and Runouns, this is the main core of your kit. Most champions, most AD carries, you're used to buying like crit as your core. So you need like Infinity Edge, you get your Zeal item, and then you don't quite feel strong until you get like your third crit item, either your Essence Reaver or your Shiv, PD, whatever. But with Kalista, this is the core. It's just Bork and Runouns. And again, with Conquer, I feel like you're like actually so strong with just these two items. So yeah, after I finish these two, my goal is to I try not to be greedy. I buy whatever I need. If they have a lot of healing on their team, I buy in Executioners. If they have CC, like in this case, they have Recon, Charm, and RE, which is really important for me to be able to QSS to outplay the rest of the fight. So boom, I pick up a QSS. If they have like a Syndra or something, maybe like, or like any, just a lot of magic damage that could one-shot me, I'll consider going Ma as my third item. BT is good in really rare situations. For BT to be good, they need to have very little magic damage on their team, so the MR from Merc Scimitar wouldn't be worth it, and they also need to have pretty much 0 CC. It's nice to buy Merc Scimitar even versus teams with like very little amount of CC if it's targeted, or even if it's not, just because the move speed is also extremely valuable. I know you're moving between autos, so you don't get to use the move speed, but the move speed burst is often like it feels better, and the MR feels better than the BT shield usually for me. But that being said, there are times, especially if they have like a lot of AD assassins or just AD carries on their team, stuff like that, BT is pretty good on her. It is one of the best items in the game on her because she's like a drain tank. But I don't like to over rely on lifesteal because people just buy Executioners or Morellos or they ignite you and all of a sudden you can't survive anyways. So the MR from Merc Scimitar is greatly preferred for me. And yeah, so once you get your Bork and your Runouns, you're pretty much always going to look to like go mid because your wave clear is going to be really good at that point. It's a little bit tough going mid before that point because your only source of wave clear is like queuing a bunch of minions that are already basically dead. But yeah, again, once you get 2 core, your plays open up. You can also farm jungle minions extremely efficiently once you have these 2 items. You're going to lifesteal the full HP off them automatically too if you're doing like Raptor Camp or Wolf Camp. And don't just take your jungler's camps, you can always take the enemies as well. Again, you can play so aggressively at this point. Like if you get caught in the jungle, you can look for 2v3s, you can look for like 2v4s even. I make like highlight reel plays on this champion all the time just because people don't understand her power spikes. This is one of the beauty this is one of the beautiful things about playing an off meta champion with a shit win rate is that they never get played. So people aren't used to playing against them whatsoever. Like they just don't know what the champion does. They don't know how strong you're gonna be, and they certainly have not seen Conqueror Kalista. There are so many situations where the Conqueror healing kicks in and the damage kicks in, and I just do way more damage and heal way more than they're expecting me to, and I'm just able to turn a fight unexpectedly. This doesn't happen every time. I don't have the greatest win rate on her. It's only like 60%, and that's with like Smurf games as well. But I also have, I think, like a 60% win rate on my challenger account. This is my unranked to challenger account that I'm showing you guys right now, and I think this is like D1 low master MMR. But these players are still not bad, you know. Like these players are okay. They're like D1s. Um, you know, I definitely play this against other challenger players as well. I have games of this on my main, especially when I'm duo queue. Kalista is like such a great champion to duo queue to support with if you're good at her, because again, people have no idea what to expect, but if your support actually knows what to expect, then the things that you're able to pull off are pretty insane. A lot of the supports I get in solo queue, you know, people consider Kalista a very support reliant champion. I don't completely agree. I know that you can do a lot more with a support that knows your like damage thresholds and stuff, but again, her poke with Q and E, uh, and just like her damage that she has early game, especially with Conqueror, it really throws people off. And you can I've definitely 1v2 lanes when the summoners are down or when they waste abilities. I've even gone in. I go for like 1v2s and stuff like that because she has so much mobility and so much room to outplay. Like it doesn't matter how many champs you're up against or like, you know, whatever. If you dodge their skill shots, they're gonna be irrelevant. Like if I dodge a Recon W, he's gonna be useless in the fight. He's just gonna be auto attacking me anyways. You're not. I don't think you're overly support reliant with Kalista. The only thing you slightly might be relying on is for your support to at least understand how the ult works, so they don't instantly leave it, and so they they shoot it in the right direction. Like here Nami really kind of trolled a little bit. I trolled a little bit too. She ulted. I intended for her to like stay in my body because you can stay in. You can stay in for like 5 seconds or so. So often, as Kalista in team fights, I'll start diving into the backline and I'll just ult my support just as like a safety net. So when they dive on me, they're instantly gonna get knocked up and I can turn on them. I don't intend for the support to use a knock up right away, but I advise you to sort of be careful about making any play or having anything in mind where you're like relying on your support to do something specific, because it's just gonna lead to you getting let down, honestly, most times. Like you can use your ult in other ways too, like for very obvious engages or for layering CC. If they layer a CC like a Nami bubble into a wave and then you ult, it's gonna be very obvious and very intuitive to them for like what you want. Or if you're simply like saving them from a gank or something, like it's really really obvious. But your opponent and your own teammates don't really know what this champ does, so like don't expect much. Like expect to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting yourself when you play this. And obviously people might not be happy when you play this either, because they're not really like people aren't sold on Kalista right now, you know. But if you're good at her, and you know, I really think if you use this rune setup, it'll surprise people, man. This is good. I'm hoping that I flip over to my rune tab in this game at some point, because the amount of damage I've done at the end of the game with sudden impact alone is insane most of the time. Like I think this game was probably like a 1k damage sudden impact game. She like the way it works is, you know, it's got like an internal 6-second cooldown or 4-second cooldown, I think, with 6-second uptime. So, you know, you gotta wait it out, but like every time you jump and then auto an enemy or Q them or whatever, it's instantly gonna proc. So anytime you're fighting, like it's gonna proc multiple times while you're fighting. Like ideally you want to proc it early, and then, you know, this will be unknowing. It's just purely feel. I just play by guess because there's no indicator or whatever. I don't think, maybe there is. And then like keep fighting and then proc it again and then get the rend off with the extra armor pen. And then yeah, obviously Ravenous Hunter ends up healing for a decent amount too between your Q and your E. I think E gets negatively affected by like the whole AoE healing thing. Like it's not amazing, but it's like pretty good, you know, between all the lifesteal you're buying, between Conqueror, between Ravenous Hunter, like it all really adds up into your survivability. and yeah, you're able to play super aggressive. Um, for your next item, I usually try to get Mortal Reminder. I'll go Lord Doms if they have a team with like no healing, but in season 9, the game state is like every champion in the game has healing hidden underneath their kit somewhere. So execution is typically good, better for some teams than others, but Armor Pen is really, 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 really good on Kalista. As I said, there's no item that synergizes beyond your first 2 items on Kalista. Like it's just Bork and Runads, and then whatever you feel like fitting in after that point, you know. So Last Whisper is probably the item that synergizes the most though, because the armor penetration applies to your Bork hits as well. So it's and your Rend obviously. So as my 6 core, you can really buy anything. A BT is pretty good. You can buy Death Stance if you're feeling frisky. I don't know. It's up to you. GA is not bad. It's all right. I wouldn't really recommend buying like Gwinsu's, but yeah. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the VOD. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, whatever people say at the end of their YouTube videos. I don't know. But yeah, this is Kalista, and again, people really, really don't know what to expect with this. I know I've said it a million times already, but like truly, I feel like this is the best rune setup on Kalista. I play a lot of Kalista. I've tried Halo Blades. I've tried PTA. I've tried Lethal Tempo. I've tried it all. I think Conqueror Kalista feels amazing. And I don't think she utilizes the inspiration tree at all, obviously, because you like to buy boots early in the game. Yeah, you could buy stopwatch. Biscuits are okay. I think it's unnecessary. And yeah, you could go Sorcerer as well if you want the extra damage from Absolute Focus and G-Storm. That might be good too. I've tried it a little bit, but I feel like the extra oomph that you get early game from Sudden Impact is like what you need to make this champion work. You have to take everything you can get on this champion for her to work. When you all in somebody, you need to be certain that you're gonna do just enough damage to kill them, and you're gonna have just enough HP to survive. So that's what my rune page is based around. Yeah, you'll be able to cheese a lot of people with this, and yeah, I don't know if she's like a good champion in this meta, but I've been making her work, so hopefully you guys will too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one. Peace out.